Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Seems like only yesterday we were saying, wait, it's still early in the season. All of a sudden, season's almost gone. We're heading into the last month of the season now. Got a little bit of October and then into the postseason. That's crazy. So we're gonna kind of start setting the stage a little bit this week on Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. We're also going to head back to Williamsport, where a new champion has been crowned. Team that pretty much rolled through everybody. Got that crown, which I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, right? If you beat everybody, you get to be the winner.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how it works.
I didn't know if that changed yet in this world of participation trophies and such. If we've just got to the point where we're not keeping score and it doesn't really matter.
I don't think that applies to this game.
Okay, that's good. That's good. There's got to be some win, some loss. At least that's what they tell me. So we got Dodgers, some silver lining news for the Angels, and another young star gets potentially monster contract. All of that and more ahead on this edition of SRBB, the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. All the teams are probably back home now, although they wanted to come back conquering heroes. They probably got to be for about a second or two, and then it was like, here's some new school clothes, time to do some math and to diagram some sentences in grammar. Do they still do that? Do you still diagram and figure out what the... I mean, I'm sure they still do the subject, and these kids are 12, so they probably have already gone through that, but it continues on. What's the subject? What's the predicate? What's the verb?
Yeah, they still do that, but I think diagramming a sentence is probably a lost art.
Yeah, it was lost on me way back in the day. I was just like, why? What's a dangling participle, and why is it in the middle of this book I'm reading? I mean, okay, I don't want to get away from everything here, baseball, but to this day, I have never read Great Expectations because my English teacher decided that he didn't want to do part of the year doing grammar stuff and diagramming sentences and working through that. He took Great Expectations and grammar diagramming sentences and stuff like that and put them together. So I went through and diagrammed sentences throughout and paragraphs. And then I was also supposed to read it and grasp whatever was happening in Great Expectations. It didn't happen.
No, I don't think it would. That seems crazy because you're too worried about the subject and the verb and all that to really understand what's going on.
Right. I don't know what's happening. And when and recently we were talking about this, that mom and dad got called to the school and they're like, he's been absent like 90 times. He's in every other class, but he doesn't go to this one. That was the one. It was right after lunch, and I would just not come back until that class was over. Hated it. One of the few teachers I still remember is Mr. Euler. Oyler.
Ugh.
It was wrong. I'm great. You combine parts to make it easier I don't know if it was easier for him to teach or not, or he had a book that was already pre-diagrammed, so it was just easier. I'm not sure, but to this day, I've tried to pick up Great Expectations and read it. I still can't do it.
Like it's oily.
I can't even, I'm trying to think of what's the, what is the great expectation in all of this?
I don't know. Grammar?
Was that a dangling participle? I don't know. To this day, I couldn't tell you what a dangling participle is. To me, it just seems like something that maybe I shouldn't know is dangling. That's a personal thing. I don't. Anyway, so all the kids are back at school, but they had their glory And new champion Hawaii has emerged out of
Yeah.
all that. And they had their road. They started off playing the team that won the Northwest region, then the Metro region. Then they played the Southwest region. The Southeast region, they played twice before they took on Curacao, who came out of the international region. And Curacao actually lost the game en route to the championship game. They lost to the Panama region before righting their ship and making their way in to face Hawaii, taking out the team from the Asia Pacific region, the Chinese Taipei team, in order to have the honor of losing to Hawaii. I guess.
And Hawaii came out and they beat Curacao 13-3 in 4 innings because under Little League rules, a team wins if it's leading by 10 runs or more after 4 innings. And Hawaii was, and that was it. This is Hawaii's 4th Little League World Series title. They won it in 2018. It's the same Honolulu team that finished 3rd last year. And in 6 games, which you just talked about, all victories, the closest margin was 4 runs, and they outscored their opponents 60-5. So they were dominating the Little League World Series. And as they celebrated their win, they got the trophy, posed for pictures, and then grabbed some cardboard and went down the hill.
Nice, as you do.
Yes. But there's some really cool stories that have come out of the Little League World Series, some inspirational stories. Josiah Porter of the Nolensville, Tennessee team. You probably watched him play, but didn't realize that he is blind in his right eye. He had an incident after his 7th birthday where he cut his eyeball. And I guess he ran into, I don't know if the truck had their tailgate down, whatever, but it was right eye level for him. And whatever happened, it was bad. So he has had a total of 5 surgeries on his eye, but he hit a grand slam in the elimination game versus Pearland, Texas, to help his team win 7-1, so they could go on and play the eventual champions, Hawaii. So inspirational, think about, it's hard to hit a baseball with 2 good eyes, let alone 1 eye. So pretty cool there. And then also Nolensville, Tennessee, they were my team. You picked Hawaii and you win. You knew it.
Winner!
That's right. But the Nolensville Little League, they were named the recipient of the 2022 Jack Loesch Little League Baseball World Series Team Sportsmanship Award based on their display of sportsmanship on and off the field. It is voted on by all of the participating teams, as well as the team hosts, volunteers, members of the media, Little League staff. And this award recognizes a team that exemplifies a tremendous amount of sportsmanship, both on and off the field, including the team's time in the dormitories, dining hall, interview room, and as well as their performance on the field. And throughout the tournament, they showed respect to other teams in the tournament, the staff, the volunteers. Prior to their game against Snow Canyon Little League, members of the Nolensville Little League team wore Mountain Region caps during their warm-ups to show support for Easton Oliverson and the entire Utah team. And then off the field, when there were a number of rain delays, the team went out of their way to help the staff and show respect. And when they went into the media room, they took off their muddy cleats. So they were just very impressive with the staff. And then at the end, on championship weekend, they had a game, but they went over to cheer on the Mason, Ohio Youth Organization Little League and Cambrian Park Little League from San Jose, California. in the 2022 Little League Challenger Division exhibition game to root for those guys. So,
Wow.
yeah, a lot.
Sounds like they
were
made the
doing.
most of their Williamsport experience.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, good group of kids, and also a testament, obviously to their parents and their coaches.
Well, they are from Tennessee.
That's true. The volunteer state. That's right.
That's right.
They took it to heart and they made their state proud.
Nice.
They weren't from Missouri going, "Hey, show me." They were
No,
like, we're going to volunteer.
We'll show you something else. You don't have to show me. We'll show you.
That's right.
You mentioned Easton Oliverson, which is quite the name.
Yes.
That's a lot to say. Just looking at a picture of him getting ready to with his doctor. That I guess he's getting ready to leave Pennsylvania and go to Salt Lake City, where he'll continue his recovery after falling and after his injury. Looks like his one of his eyes is still kind of swollen shut a little bit in the picture, and he's sporting a Dodger jersey, so I'm assuming that that maybe
I got to be a
Mookie
number 50. Yeah.
So it's good to see that he is seemingly on the road to recovery. I'm sure we'll be watching after that to see how he does. And hopefully he's got a full recovery coming and he gets back out onto the baseball field soon.
Yeah, and then another story that came out of Williamsport is the team from Nicaragua.
That's
they
easy
only had
for you to say.
Yeah, they only had one parent that was able to travel with them due to visa issues. So they had their coaching staff, and then they had the one parent. The Nicaraguan community in the United States heard about this, came to Williamsport, some driving, some flying, just to get there to cheer on the team. So a lot of good, feel good, this is what baseball's all about stories.
For sure. Yeah, that was cool to see all of the Nicaragua people had their flags. They were wearing their, blue, either T-shirts or jerseys that said Nicaragua, hats, with N on it. And of course, there were people in the stands that were wearing the team colors that they're assigned for their region. They had like a blue and yellow, I think it was, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
And so it's cool to see that, hey, your parents couldn't come. I personally would have used a MasterCard, American Express, Visa sometimes. I thought it was taken everywhere, but apparently they were having issues with their visas.
Dun-dun-dun.
Thank you. I'm here all episode. So that puts a wrap on this year's Little League World Series. There was, I did catch a little bit. I don't know if you saw this, a little bit of the home run derby, but I saw the softball home runs. I didn't catch the boys playing. I saw the softball, and there was some decent home runs hit in that home run derby there. So that could have been fun. I'd never noticed that they did that before.
I didn't know that.
T-Mobile home run derby, I guess. So, all right. Well, we'll be ready for it next year, starting up with the regionals all the way through the Little League World Series. I honestly, during the Little League World Series, the last couple seasons, I've kind of forgotten about what's going on in Major League Baseball because it's just a whole different, it's more compelling sometimes. And I guess it's too, you got these kids who are just really fired up to play.
Yeah, excited, doing their bat flips, doing their own celebrations, and sometimes making really bad base running errors. But that's the purpose of Little League, is to learn and to figure it out. But yeah, the Little League World Series is just a great program. And, Little League obviously was a big part of our lives growing up. We spent lots of time at the ballpark. And I remember Mom, I was little, so I'm holding her hand. She's going from one field to another field, watching games. Just, okay, oh, they're up to bat. Okay, I'm at this field. Oh, run over here. So I wish I would have had a Fitbit back then I would have had lots of steps.
True. You would have built up like a bank of them and go, I didn't get my 10,000 a day, but I have some in the bank that makes up for it. Because I got 30,000 steps.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we traveled when we lived in, at Fort Campbell, traveled to All-Star, like the Little League All-Star games. We had a motor home and we would load it up and head out. So, yeah, Little League is a big part. So, great organization. They put on a great, just a great, program, great, championship round. And it, it's obviously not all about baseball, but I think it just
sliding
really
down a hill on a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, exactly. It's all of that encompassed in Williamsport.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
If it seemed like you were suffering from some sort of deja vu, you almost were, as the Dodgers re-engaged had another M&M week as they took on both Milwaukee and Miami. Just they swapped places. The prior week, they were in Milwaukee. Miami came to L.A. This time, Milwaukee came to L.A. and the Dodgers went to Miami and did a rare Friday through Monday 4-game set.
Yeah, wraparound series, they like to call it.
They do?
They do.
Who's they?
I don't know. What's his name? Phil Neverett. Is that what his name is? Phil? Pete? No. He bugs me. I don't.
Tim,
Phil, Pete.
Whatever. He's got, the thing with Tim Neverett, it's not that he's serviceable.
Yes.
Doing the job, but he reminds me of like when they have people play like a radio announcer or a baseball announcer. Have you ever seen the movie Little Big League?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The guy who's the announcer for the radio announcer or the TV announcer for the Twins in that movie, the way he talks in that's kind of Tim Neverett.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Anyway, so
yeah.
Tim Neverett's the one that says a wraparound series. It had to come from somewhere else. You can't attribute that to him.
That's who I heard it from, but I've heard it before where they just call it the wraparound because it wraps it wraps into the new week. So yeah, I'm sure I will do some research and I will get this figured out how wraparound series came to be. But yes, they were in Miami for a wraparound series, Friday to Monday.
Well, we're going to start back home with Milwaukee. And it seems to me like it almost felt like, the Brewers must have the Dodgers number. Because the first game out kind of felt like, what's happening here? And it didn't look like something that you almost felt like the Brewers might very well take, not necessarily sweep them, but win the series.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in this game, you had Mookie Betts 0 for 4, Freddie Freeman 0 for 4, Trey Turner, of course, he gets a hit. He's 1 for 4, but that's pretty much it. There was, Will Smith had a hit, JT had 2 hits, Muncy had a hit, Lex had 2 hits, and Bellinger had a hit, but they weren't able to do anything with it. And that is because of a guy named Peter Strelacki. I don't know how to say his name. I don't know. I can't even spell it. I can't spell it because I'm looking at it. STRZELECKI. He
And you
was,
still got it wrong.
and I still got
I
it
don't
wrong.
know.
I have no idea. So
No, it's
Pete.
like one of those names like Shashevsky,
yeah,
which it looks like Krzyzewski. It's like you're missing it. It's Simpson.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know, but he was a former undrafted free agent. He'd never been in a major league training camp, but he's pitched some big innings for the Brewers this year, and the Dodgers just couldn't get past him, and Milwaukee ends up winning the game 4-0. Julio Urias is on the mound. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, and 7 strikeouts. Did give up a home run, but it was Phil Bickford. It was Skip that just struggled on the mound. Alex Vesia had come in. Brusdar Graterol came in. They looked really good. And then here comes Skip, and he gives up 3 hits and 3 runs and a home run. So that does not help in this loss.
Like, he had because he looks like a surfer dude. He had a wipeout.
He did. It was bad.
Throwing error on Will Smith in that game didn't help. Colton Wong stole a base and he overthrew him. It was JT and Gavin Lux with 2 hits each. They were 1-5 with runners in scoring position, so it wasn't like they put a lot of people in position to score. But still, they couldn't get anything done. Obviously, they out-hit the Brewers 8-5.
Right, but they couldn't do anything with those hits. They couldn't capitalize on them.
Nope.
So, and this was the Milwaukee gave LA their first shutout in LA this year. So
Wow, I didn't realize that had happened.
Yeah.
So we go to game 2, and Tony Gonsolin, who will pop up again later in the show, has on the mound. Only throws 5 innings, but that was all they needed him to do. As the Dodgers kind of right the ship.
They did. They win this game 10-1. And going into this game, we talked about last week how Corbin Burns had their number. This week, Corbin Burns is on the mound, and he goes 3 2/3 innings, gives up 6 hits, 7 runs, a home run, only has 3 strikeouts.
So the Dodgers had his number, apparently.
Yeah, I guess they figured him out. So revenge. We're going to get you.
That's right. What a difference a week makes.
Yeah, so Tony Gonsolin rolls to his 16th win. And Hanser Alberto, the closer, coming in and closing out the game.
I know, gave up no hits to finish things up. Dodgers powered by, before you would say unlikely source, Trace Thompson. But
no more.
No, now these days it's more like unlikely source CT3.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because he is leading in strikeouts in MLB. I mean, he was on the IL and is still leading in strikeouts. But yeah, Trace Thompson, 2 for 3 in this game, 4 RBIs, has a home run. There are a lot of different situations that come up during the game, and they send somebody up, and it's like, come on, where's Trace? I want Trace in this situation. And, sometimes it works out. Most of the time it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But, he's just really he's got his groove with the Dodgers and is feeling good and loves watching him play. Mookie Betts was, 1 for 3, and then Trey Turner 3 for 5. Freddie Freeman was 3 for 5. He had 4 RBIs in this game. And Betts, Turner, and Freeman and Hanser Alberto all had doubles as they picked apart Corbin Burns and beat the Brewers. I mean, 10-1. Like, wow.
And oddly enough, in game 1 of the series, they was a jumbo jack game.
Oh,
Game
yeah.
2, 10-1, they win, no jumbo jack.
No, they only got halfway there.
But in game 3, they would. In fact, it only took one guy to get it done to make it a jumbo jack. And on the mound, we had a repeat, kinda, from the night before. So
Yeah,
Andrew Haney's on the mound for game 3. A little better outing, went a little longer, 6 innings, but still came up with 10 strikeouts like he did in his previous outing.
Yeah, 10 strikeouts, pitched 6 innings, gives up 4 hits, 2 runs, and one of those being a home run. And then, offensively, he had, I think it's a lot easier for pitchers when they've got the lead, obviously, going out, easier to go out to the mound each inning and pitch when your team's ahead. In this game, lots of doubles again. Oprah must have been in the crowd. You got Freddie Freeman, Joey Gallo, CT3, Cody, Trace Thompson, and then Cuz with a home run.
4 RBIs for him that night.
Yeah. So it looked really good. And then in the bullpen, Caleb Ferguson, who's looked really good, he only pitched 2/3 innings, but he gave us up 2 hits, 2 runs, and only 1 strikeout. Brewster Gratterall comes in. He's looking a lot better as he did his rehab stint, is off the IL. So he's shaping up to be back to bazooka strength. And then back-to-back closer, Hanser Alberto.
Not quite as successful this time.
No, he is not. He pitches 1 inning, gives up 1 hit, 2 runs, gives up a home run, and that to Hunter Renfroe. And that was as Austin Barton said, that was not a good matchup.
No, apparently not. You mentioned Hunter Renfroe, who helped power the Brewers 3 for 5, had that home run, a double, and 3 RBIs. Willie Adames had the other home run that you mentioned. Andrew Haney gave that one up, 3 for 4 with 3 runs scored. Also had a double, and that wrapped things up for the season series. The Dodgers will not see the Brewers again unless they get into the unless the playoff matchup shows up with the Brewers versus the Dodgers. So then the Dodgers head down to South Florida to take on Miami. Now I do have a question. The Marlins wore their City Connects one day, one of the games.
On Saturday's game. Yeah.
And I seen like the basic colors, the hat, is kind of like that powder blue kind of thing with that red bill. Their jerseys are red. What's on the front of their hat? I never noticed that. It's like a crown. And I paused it and I just stood there and I looked at the hat for a little bit, trying to figure out what it was. But I don't know. I don't have any idea, and I didn't know if you happened to have seen it and known. Did you know what that was?
Yeah, I do not. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a crown.
We got to see where they did their whole page of explanation about about their uniforms, I guess. Because we never really talked about their City Connects. It was like, yeah, they're okay.
Yeah.
The colors seem appropriate for South Florida, I guess. Don't know. But then I saw that and I thought, what does that mean? And I didn't bother to look it up. So I must not have cared that much.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Oh, okay. I got it. I think I got it. So their City Connect honors the Cuban Sugar Kings. And
okay,
so
that makes sense.
That's why the crown is on the hat.
I did wonder as we were talking through this here, I wonder if because there's such a huge Cuban population there, was that connected? But I would have never thought that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, so now we know, mystery solved. We did it all right here on SRBB.
Doing the hard work and dropping the knowledge for you.
That's right. Yeah, the Dodgers have a nice flight to Miami because they, get 2 out of the 3 games, win the series against the Brewers in LA. They head to Miami and
For the wraparound series.
And this first game is a Zennings game, which this game, it was crazy because, when you play the Marlins, you're thinking it's the Marlins. But they have a lot of young guys on their team, and they don't really, I don't think they care who they're playing. And they really were out to, obviously every night they want to win. But they put up back and forth. It was back and forth between the Dodgers and the Marlins. Tyler Anderson was on the mound in this one. He goes 5 1/3 innings, gives up 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and then 4 strikeouts. And again, we have the bullpen come in. Evan Phillips looks great as he always. I mean, he's just on fire. And then Skip again. Gives up 2 hits, 2 runs, only 1 strikeout, 2 walks. Just could not find it. Couldn't find the strike zone. He just looked lost. So maybe it was because he's away from the Pacific. He prefers the Pacific Ocean versus the Atlantic. I don't know, but
another wipeout.
It was like that. Skip.
Well, David Price comes in, and David Price overall has been pretty decent. But he picks up a blown save in this one.
And it's the win.
True, but the Marlins just weren't going away. A lot of times the Dodgers start scoring a run here or there, and they're just able to hold it. Marlins were like, and
no,
so they
you're not. Yeah, my favorite quote was Rick Monday was on the television side during this series. And he said, it's like the Dodgers said, all right, we're done. We are tired of this baloney and we're getting runs. And
right?
They did. So it was tied 5-5 going into the 10th. The Dodgers end up scoring 5 runs in the 10th. 5 runs in the 10th, where normally it's a Zennings game. It's like, oh no, not a Zennings game. But, Mookie Betts, holy crap. 4 for 6.
Mookie and Miami.
Yeah, they go together because he had 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, had a double. Trey Turner was 2 for 6. Freddie Freeman was 2 for 6. JT came in 2 for 5. Trace was 2 for 5. Everybody had a hit. You get a hit, and you get a hit. Everybody had a hit, and it was a really good game. But yeah, with Miami, it was like they were not just gonna go away, and the Dodgers had to figure it out, and they did in innings, which is very impressive.
Nice, and not just a squeaker either. They said we're putting it away, like you said, like Rick Monday said. All right, that's enough. We've fooled around enough. Let's just I'm gonna win it now.
Yeah.
And they did.
This is over.
So game 2 saw the second start of the season for Dustin May, and 6 innings. So about the same. Actually, when you look at it, it was a similar line to what he had last time. Did give up 2 runs though.
Yeah, he gave up the 2 runs. He didn't look, it wasn't, I guess, as sharp as that first outing that he had. And I think some of that probably also had to do with adrenaline. It's your first game back after being, after Tommy John surgery. But he didn't look bad. And if he continues to pitch this way, then that's going to look good for the Dodgers, especially as we talk about, as you mentioned, Tony later. But yeah, so Dustin May, goes to 6 innings, as you mentioned. Caleb Ferguson has looked really good. And then here comes Skip. What does Skip do?
He stayed on his board, stayed upright, and
He-
didn't give up a run.
Yeah, he was, what do they ride? The tube? He was riding through the tube.
That's right.
And
Now the one thing that's different in this game, remember last week, as I struggled to say, Sandy Alcantara, it's hard to win a game when the other pitcher throws a complete game.
yeah, when he was in LA, what did he go, like 3 innings, a little over 3 innings?
Right.
And Dodgers, like, okay, see ya. This time he had their number, goes 9 innings, complete game, as you mentioned, 6 hits, 1 run, 10 strikeouts. So I don't know if Miami has any kind of, jumbo jacks or something that they give out. But he did give up a home run, and that was to Mookie Betts. But that was the only run for the Dodgers. And Marlins win this game 2-1, and the main reason was because of the man on the mound.
Yeah, he was there. Of course, Trey and Freddie continue their little battle for hits as Trey went 2 for 4, Freddie went 1 for 4. Brian Anderson of the Marlins tossed out of this game, and apparently, and I've never gotten the full story on this, but everybody thought that he got tossed out for arguing that CT3 pushed his leg off the bag.
Yeah.
And I watched it a lot. And if he had actually applied pressure to push him off, it would have been pretty noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looked like Chris applied the tag and held the tag.
Right. Which is what you're supposed to do, because if he moves his foot like he did, then he's out.
Well, it's the whole thing that I've talked about and railed against this season is the pop-up slide.
Right, exactly.
And he pops up, and in that process, I've rarely seen somebody not come off the bag.
Yeah, I think the real reason, and they never mentioned this and they never showed it in the replay, but Brian Anderson looked right at the ump, pointed to his eyes, and said, "Can't you see this?" And as soon as he pointed to his eyes, the ump tossed him, because he probably said, "You're blind. I'm safe." And that was it. But they never mentioned it in any other, like they never showed him pointing at his eyes. And I'm like, that's why he got thrown out.
I had seen, I think it was like Howard Cole had said something about he was thrown out, not for arguing that he pushed me off the bag remark, but for something he said before that.
Yeah.
And I never saw that. I kept watching Chris in that tag, but I never saw that either.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know why they didn't show it. And I'm yelling at the TV because they're like, well, he must have gotten thrown out because of this. And I'm like, didn't you watch him? I mean, he pointed like 2 fingers right at his eyes at the ump. So he's calling the ump blind. And we know umpires don't like that. So he was like, get out of here. So he was.
So the next day, Brian Anderson makes up for it and hits a home run.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that would be the only run that the Marlins could muster. But would it be enough?
Nope. It was not enough. This is a game that was on Peacock. So it was a morning game. And Julio Urias is back on the mound, goes 6 innings, gives up 1 hit. And that was the home run you mentioned. And then gets 7 strikeouts. And they do get jumbo jacks.
Yes.
Chris Spartan had a strikeout, and then Alex Vesia came in and closed the game out with 2 strikeouts. Mookie Betts double home run. A scary moment for Trey Turner. Gets hit ball hits his helmet, goes down, takes first base, and then promptly steals second.
Yeah, and unfortunately, since he wasn't at home, we can't run down to AM/PM and get a hot dog and a chance to hang out with him because it's only at home games.
Yeah. I mean, another good game. JT had a double in this game. CT3, who was not in the lineup but came in and hit. I think replaced Joey Gallo and hit a double. So, yeah.
And Trace with a home run as well.
Yes, Trace with the home run. Cuz had 2 RBIs in this game. JT had 2 RBIs. So a really good game, good rebound from the complete game that Sandy threw the night before.
So we head to the wraparound game, and we bookend this, or the Dodgers bookend this. We didn't, but the Dodgers bookend this this series with Zinnings.
You're right, which is the worst. No, not Zinnings.
Stop tempting fate.
But this is another game where it was back and forth, a low scoring game, but again, where the Marlins just would not, and the Dodgers, I guess, were like, okay, yeah, we'll play this game. They weren't tired of the baloney. But so Michael Grove had been called up and to take Tony Gonsolin's spot, which we will talk about here in a minute or in the future. I don't really want to talk about it, but he goes 4 2/3 innings, gives up 5 hits, gives up 2 runs, does have 4 strikeouts. I mean, this is a guy that, even in AAA has only gone, I think maybe has pitched 6 innings at the most in AAA. So not bad, especially if you're looking for the positives in things with pitching with the Dodgers. So then you have David Price, Caleb Ferguson, Evan Phillips, Skip Bickford back on his board, Craig Kimbrell, who doesn't give up. He pitches a 1 1/3 innings, which is unusual that they were going to send him back out. And he got a little shaky. He had 2 strikeouts, but then he had 2 walks. And it was Chris Martin who came in to save the game and got his first save. And of course, Craig Kimbrell got the win. So
there you
go. But yeah, the Dodgers win 3-2 in innings. Mookie Betts is not in the lineup. Doc wanted to give him time off, especially because in Miami they play on turf, and you gotta be careful with that and how it is, because it's a lot different than grass, obviously.
Right.
And how the ball plays. But Trey Turner goes back up to the top of the lineup, 2 for 5. Freddie Freeman's 2 for 5. And I really like this because they're going back and forth with the hits. And I think it's a fun, it's like I get one, you get one. And I don't think they care, at least they say, that, he gets a hit, I get hit. It's not a big deal. But Trey Turner also got his 1,000th base hit in this game.
Wow. Yeah, they're battling back and forth for the top of the National League lead. Right now, Freeman actually leads baseball.
Yeah.
Freddie leads baseball with 163 hits. And Trey, the other day they were talking about it where they were like, he get one and go up one, and then Freddie come up and tie him or go ahead.
Yep.
And right now, Freddie's at 163, Trey's at 161, and they lead Major League Baseball. And it's kind of a cool little back and forth. We'll have to see how it plays out at the end, who gets the most hits. But if they can keep going back, and honestly, really, probably the top of the Dodgers order is like unstoppable.
Well, and that's one of the things. There's a really good article in The Athletic about the top 3, the top of the lineup for the Dodgers, and how Freddie and Trace were telling, Mookie Betts, listen, you just need to get out there and hit. Don't worry about where you are, what the pitch count is. You just do your thing. He's become more aggressive at the plate, and that's why you saw all those home runs. And I think the competition is a healthy competition between Freddie and Trace. And then that, I think, also goes down throughout the lineup. The other thing that they talked about this in this article, and we had talked about this, I think, last season, because in 2020 season, they didn't have the iPads or the laptops. It seemed like everybody So you saw guys up on the railing, you saw guys hanging out, and then last year it was back to, oh, let me look, I just took my at bat. Oh, let me look at this, see what I was doing wrong. And you saw guys sitting on the bench. Then you saw that again at the beginning of the season, and there were several, iPads, like, 6 iPads in the dugout or, something like that. Freddie Freeman said, you know what, we don't need to do this. We need to be up at the railing. We need to be watching the game, seeing what's going on. They have 2 iPads in the dugout. And so you're not seeing, you'll still see a guy, look, but most of the time they're rallying. And we saw that before in 2020 when they won the World Series, that that dynamic is gone, which I think is a lot better for the team.
I agree. So we'll see how it works when they go to New York to take on the Mets, who are trailing them, but they'll probably have the other bye as the top 2. So the top 2 teams in the National League are matching up, and then they head back home to take on the Padres. And who knows what will happen there? The Padres have kind of been quiet.
Yeah, you got Juan Soto, whose OPS is down like 34 points. Josh Bell's 21. And then you got Josh Hader, that I'm pretty sure the Brewers knew something.
No, they had to have known something.
His ERA is like 16 plus.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so it's time for a player of the week. I know there's one that probably stands out, but who did you pick?
I had to go with the obvious. I went with Mookie. I mean, he was just crazy. 7 RBIs, 3 doubles, 4 home runs. I mean, it's like Mookie magic happening in against Milwaukee and Miami. So M&M.
Yeah, Mookie dominating Milwaukee and Miami. It was all about the M's. I thought about that. I mean, with the 346 batting average on the week, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a 1337 OPS, I thought Mookie's probably the guy, but I didn't go that route. I rewarded somebody for going back to back in a position that he doesn't do that. And even though his second outing wasn't as good as his first outing in that back-to-back, he didn't Craig Kimbrell the game and give it up and give up so many runs that they lost or that they tied and had to go to innings. So I give mine to Hanser Alberto.
Awesome.
Great relief work, aside from giving up a home run and a couple of runs on that last game.
And with the home run, the hits that he gave up, that home run, his ERA jumped to 4.5, but still not bad.
No, he's better than some full-time pitchers in the league.
Yeah.
Every time I think about this now, I have it in the Tiny Bubbles tune. Silver lining. Instead of the Angel segment, it's the Silver Lining segment. Since they're kind of playing out the string, but they can still kind of fool with people and cause some issues. Them and the Oakland A's. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about with the Oakland A's coming up in Around Baseball. But the Angels headed to the East Coast. They left Detroit after a series that they should have probably won, but okay, they didn't. I don't really expect them to win too many series, but there's enough things that happen in these games where you go, wait, how come you're not doing this? You're right there. Anyway, so they head to Tampa Bay. So they get their Florida trip out of the way. And they don't play the Marlins. They played the Marlins at home. They won't play them on the road. But they send Tucker Davidson to the hill in game 1 versus the Rays. Now, if you remember, the last time that the Angels took on the Rays was when Reed Detmers no-hit them. That was way back in May when the Angels were riding high. So now you've got the Rays, who are in a race for a wild card spot. And actually, with the way the Yankees have been playing lately, they're making it a little more interesting for the other teams in the East to maybe get in there and do something. So they send, one of my favorites, Tucker Davidson, who I can't say that I've really seen on the hill that much. He does throw 5 innings, give up 6 hits, 2 runs, walks 3, only strikes out 2. And while it wasn't any kind of a blowout or anything, the Angels lose this 2-1. Mike Trout does have an RBI, but they struck out 12 times as a team that day.
Well, and his RBI, it was a single, right?
Yeah.
And it hit the bat twice.
Oh, right. That was that. I forgot all about the double hit there, as it were.
Yeah.
Crazy. For the Rays, interesting. I think we all expected Wander Franco to really be tearing up the world. But when I looked at the transaction list, I see Wander Franco placed on IL, 10-day IL. Wander Franco sent to rehab assignment. Wander Franco reactivated. A couple weeks later, Wander Franco, he's like on your shampoo bottle. It's like lather, rinse, repeat. That's how he's working with the IL.
Yeah, and he's been on the IL with the wrist injury, and he was supposed to start a rehab assignment, and that has been pushed back. And
then he got ringworm or was riding a motorcycle, or I don't know. Is there a playbook for players that get extensions early? We'll talk about that more coming up. But yeah, Wander Franco has not been this season has not been the guy that they gave that huge extension to.
No, not. He's been on the IL, gotten jewelry stolen out of his car because he keeps a safe in his car. Yeah, he's doing everything but play baseball.
So we go to game 2, and I think the Angels would be probably wishing that they could have game 1 back because they lost 2-1 as opposed to losing 11-1 as they did this one.
Only hit was the monster home run by Mike Trout that hit the catwalk.
Right. Yep. And Mike Trout, that was his 1,500th career hit. So he's starting to get in where he's overtaken like Tim Salmon for the most home runs in Angels history by an Angel. He's overtaken now Garrett Anderson for like hits and things like that. Runs scored. He scored his 1,025th run. So he's actually overall's the week. I think he batted around 250, but he's coming back and he's contributing. And I know I use that word a lot, but that's the parts. He's trying to help something happen here. And if you've got him going, Ohtani going, along with Rengifo and the reemergence of David Fletcher, that could change some stuff around, but not for this game. The Angels did have 7 hits, and we're only 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. So they didn't really put themselves in a position to do anything. Jose Suarez on the mound gave up 3 runs over his just over 5 innings. It was Jesse Chavez, proving why he's been traded so many times, gives up 4 runs over an inning on 2 hits. Tuki Toussaint and Jose Quijada both come in and give up a couple of runs apiece. The goose was loose. Phil Gosselin came in and pitched a scoreless inning.
Yeah.
To be the only pitcher that day to pitch a scoreless inning.
And he's not even a pitcher.
Exactly. Corey Kluber, who is a big question mark as to whether he'll stick around in Tampa next season. Went 6 innings, just gave up that 1 run. Manuel Margot, and then Randy Arozarena, who had a home run the night before. 3 for 5 this night. Christian Betancourt. The Rays had it going on. I think as a team they had 4 doubles, which brings us to game 3, which I don't know what you would call this. If maybe somebody misread Mike Myers, because as a reliever, he has been well below average.
Bad.
But as a spot starter, he goes 5 innings, only gives up 2 hits, gave up no runs, struck out 5. It was Ryan Tepera and Jaime Barria who gave up all the runs in the 4-3 loss. Trout with another home run, goes 2 for 5. Taylor Ward, 3 for 5 with an RBI. Shane McClanahan, the Rays ace, threw 6 innings, didn't give up any runs, and struck out 9 Angels, in the Rays win. So we get to game 4. These guys are ready to get out of town, I'm sure. They're tired of getting beat up by the Rays, and the Rays are happy to have them to town because they're trying, like I said, to stay alive in the AL East and get into the to the playoffs. And the Angels are helping them out. Patrick Sandoval on the mound throws 6 innings, which has been kind of standard for him. And he's been pretty good about hitting 5-6 innings per game. But he does give up 5 runs on 5 hits. He struck out 5, so it was a 5-5-5 night, I guess.
Yeah.
Gave up a home run, but that was it. Tukey Toussaint comes in and gives up 3 runs, and it just, Taylor Ward with a home run, 2 for 4. Mike Ford, who shows up to start filling in the gaps here a little bit, plays first base. He was called up. He's a recent pickup. I think they got him off of waivers from Atlanta, and so he's been in playing first base, and he definitely got a lot of playing time when we went to Toronto, because apparently some guys didn't get their vaccinations, and the Canadian said, you're not coming in here, buddy. Keep your unvaccinated self wherever, but you're not coming to Toronto.
Yeah, I was surprised. There weren't as many as the Royals, which was good. I think the best thing for the Angels is that the hitting coach was not allowed into Canada. And I really don't think he should be allowed back into Anaheim or any other Major League Baseball city where the Angels play. Because the Angels were on a tear in Toronto.
Sure enough, Reed Detmers, who didn't get a chance to no-hit the Rays again when they were in Tampa, hits the mound for game 1 of the series with the Blue Jays. And you would think, honestly, I figured they were going to probably get beat up by the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are another team fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week, and it was like, oh, man, they go to Tampa Bay, but then they go to Toronto, then they go home, and they're going to have to play these teams. Oh, this is bad.
Right. Well, this was a silver lining series, if ever there was one. Game 1 could have been considered a fluke. They grab a 2-0 victory. Mike Trout with another home run goes 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Shohei. All right. I got ahead of myself. This game, they won, but not 2-0. They won it 12-0. So I've already given away what's coming because I looked at the wrong line on my sheet. But they win it 12-0. Our old friend Mitch White, former Dodger, had not a great outing.
No, and going into this game, I thought the matchup between Reed Detmers and Mitch White would be a good one. 2 young pitchers. Mitch White, who former Dodger, saw him, pitching well with the Dodgers, especially in those last few starts before he was traded. But that's not what happened.
Nope. He got thumped, gave up 7 runs on 8 hits, struck out 5 as the Angels broke out. Like you said, the hitting coach wasn't there. And so when he's not here, we're going to do what we want. And that was score 12 runs. Shohei 1 for 5 with a triple. Joe Adell had a 2 home run game. Was 4 for 5 in that game with 3 RBIs. Squid with a home run. He's picked it up recently and had a hot bat. Fletch 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. It was a great. They needed a breakout. They needed a game like this. The question was, after they did that, what comes next? Is there another collapse coming? We don't know. Well, no, because I already told you. They win 2-0 in the second game. The first game, it was 12-0. Second game was 2-0. Shohei on the mound gives up no runs over 7 innings, strikes out 9, as the Angels shut out for their second straight win and a series. They win the series by winning this game over Alek Manoah.
Yeah, that's big because, that's another pitching matchup. That would be, Ohtani and Manoah.
And he now Manoah only gives up 1 of the 2 runs, throws 7 innings, strikeouts 8, strikes out 8. Squid with another home run. Back-to-back nights. He was trying to be like Mike Trout, who had him on 3 consecutive nights. George Springer, Vladdy Jr. was really the only offense that the Blue Jays saw. So we go to game 3 figuring the Jays are going to take at least 1 of the 3.
Yeah.
Right?
That seems reasonable.
I mean, you've got Vladdy. The one thing that I noticed as I was watching, I think it was Saturday's game, maybe it was Friday's, but as I'm watching the games, I started noticing that a couple of the names, Vladdy is still huge. He's still doing, Vladdy stuff.
Yeah.
But Kevin Biggio and even more Bo Bichette really aren't living up to their initial hype.
No.
And
they're not hearing about them.
No,
as
and
much.
they're really not. They're not playing that well. Biggio is batting in the 200s. Bichette embarrassed himself a couple of times going after pitches he was almost falling down across the plate to the other. I think the ball was almost to the line on the opposite batter's box that he was swinging at. And I'm like, I get that sometimes there's pitches like Mike Trout swung at one that he committed to, I think, a little too early, and it bounced just right around the front of the batter's box. But he had already seen where it was going and thought, oh, this is going to be right in my wheelhouse, and he committed too early. Things like that happen. A low pitch, something like that. It comes in, looks like he's going to say drops out. But that one was so far off, and Biggio just looked ridiculous. I think that's part of the, Charlie Montoya may have not been the guy to push them through. But I feel like they're missing some pieces there. Anyway, they've got, so another former Dodger on the mound versus the Halos for game 3. And that would be Ross Stripling. 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, struck out 6. After him, it took 5 more pitchers for the Blue Jays to lose this one. George Springer had a home run. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. with a triple, but it was Mike Trout with a home run. Actually, 2 home runs. Shohei Ohtani with a home run, and Rengifo with a home run. Kurt Suzuki also a home run, as the Angels walk away with an 8-3 victory. and sweep the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's like major headlines.
I was blown away. That
Me too. I did not have high hopes for this series and wasn't sure how, with the news that Artie Moreno is wanting to sell the team, how is that going to affect, does that affect the team with thoughts of, do I stay here if they do sell, whatever. But apparently it didn't. They just let it go.
well,
A la Craig Kimbrell.
I don't know,
Okay.
because it came out they were in Tampa.
Right.
And look at what happened. So at first they're like, oh no, our team's going to be sold. Who's going to be the new owner? Because as much as we know we want Artie to go,
Bye.
who's the new owner going to be? And could the new owner could be worse.
Could be.
Artie maybe, spent money poorly and not on the right stuff, but he spent some money.
And lowered beer prices.
Well, and of course that's important. I wonder though, like over the years, because he's been there for 20 years, have the beer prices crept back up to where they would have been anyway?
Yeah,
I don't know what it
but
cost. It seems to me like when I go by, and maybe I just see like the specialty things, that it's like, $20, $25.
Holy
and
cow.
I don't know, what it is. If you just wanted, because it's not anymore. They've got the big tall cans, and then you can get like a Michelada, which is like a beer with like tomato juice or something like that. And I'm not sure about that. I but it's like a Southern California thing for sure. So because you get them at Dodger Stadium, you get them at Angel Stadium, but I'm not sure what the total cost is. And it's not like you can go and just get, a can of Bud, just a small, like what, a 12-ounce can, and you're good. It's the big tall cans and pour it in a glass. And then do you need a lime? And I don't know what the deal is, but it's, I guess the days of old stale beer and a stale hot dog are gone. You can't just go in and say, like in Field of Dreams, what do you want? And he says, dog and a beer. And they just hand you a dog and a beer. Doesn't matter what beer it is. Just anyway. The Angels, incredible. I think that with the initial news, they were like, oh no, what's going to happen? It took them out in Tampa Bay. And by the time they got to Canada, two things happened. Number one, they didn't have their hitting coach there, so they felt a little freer. Number two, at that point, they thought, maybe this is good for us. Maybe we'll finally get some pitching. Maybe it doesn't matter to us who the owner is, because we still get paid to play this game. We're under contract.
Yeah.
And if I play well enough, it won't matter who it is, because they'll either give me more contract or I'll go someplace else because they'll want me more.
That's it. It was the whole total mindset. And I really think it was a hitting coach that's out.
That probably was the biggest thing, because they hadn't hit like that in a while. The
He
thing
must be
is,
overbearing.
maybe.
And
Maybe.
he felt free.
Hey, you're trying to hit into double plays. We need strikeouts here, buddy. He's bought into the Phil Nevin dream board philosophy.
He has.
So just when we thought that, hey, maybe there's a little, there's a light shining out from around with the silver lining of this series, the Angels have to take on the Yankees, the mighty, mighty Yankees, for yet another AL East beast. But they get to do it at home, where they play the Yankees pretty well, even in down years. So we'll see what happens there. And then they got to take on the Asterix, a series I will be at. But I'll be like looking all important, because I'm actually going to be up in a suite.
Ooh.
I know, right? Because
Look at
apparently
you.
you can get suites, and I don't know what the cost is going with the with some family members who got together with somebody else, and they went in to get the suite. And they always advertise it, but I don't know. It's on Cowboy Hat Night, which I mentioned last time. So we'll go, and hopefully the Angels will put on a good show, not like the last time I saw them play the Asterix.
And common people can see what a suite
Exactly.
really
I
looks
think
like.
I was thinking about it this morning. Had I ever been in a suite? And I realized I've gone into one suite, and it was when I took the Dodger Stadium tour a couple of years. They took us through one of the suites, so we got to see the inside and all that. But I've never watched a game from there.
Yeah, so you'll have to give us the full experience.
Yes, the full experience versus Houston. Of course, then Detroit comes to town, and then the Angels head back to Houston after that. Let's take a look. Who gets this week's Silver Lining Award? I've changed the name from MVP or Player of the Week to
All right.
Silver Lining Award.
I'll go with that. I went with Mike Trout. I think, he was on the IL, and a place that unfortunately he's been quite a bit, but he's come off the IL, has looked a lot better, pretty much looking better than ever at this point, at least for the season, and is contributing and helping win. I mean, he had 7 RBIs, 4 home runs, a decent 280 at the plate. But yeah, I like to see him coming back to form. So I went with Mike Trout for Player of the Week, or Silver Linings Award.
I initially was going to go with Mike Trout because I'm with you. He looked good. And that was like, hey, excellent. I like that. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I decided to award all of the Angels players with the Silver Lining Award for their efforts and wins in Toronto.
Except for Aaron Loop, Ryan Tepera, and Taylor Ward.
Right. Just the players who went to Toronto. They all get to share in this week's, my Silver Linings Award for this week.
Excellent.
All right, hopping in the dugout cart to take a spin around baseball. Big news and breaking news, I guess, that the MLBPA is starting plans to get minor league baseball unionized.
Yeah, the first time the minor leaguers would be at the table. So big news. Yeah, definitely.
So as that one, they're just doing the initials. They've got to throw out and get like a certain amount of votes from everybody saying, yeah, we want to do this. And then if that's accepted, then they have to have like a whole vote and get everybody on board. And if they do that, then MLBPA will be negotiating on behalf of the minor leaguers as well. And probably a separate agreement altogether, but it kind of works out. And no words yet on MLB whether they oppose this or not. I'm guessing that since they just paid, what was that they paid the settlement? $100 million or something like that, or 86 million or whatever it was.
It was a lot.
I think they're probably thinking we could have saved ourselves a lot of that money if we had done this right the first time. Which I think we brought up when we were talking about it before. That's something definitely to watch for. Another big news for somebody that we follow, the Savannah Bananas have decided to drop their collegiate summer team, their summer wood bat team. They're leaving the Coastal Plain Leagues, and they're just going to go to full-time Bananas baseball.
Yeah, they decided to get rid of the importing and just go with the exporting.
My question is, what was the conversation that led to that? And did they need to involve someone from outside there to come in and help them decide about that, to help them work through dropping the importing and going just with the exporting?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. Maybe there will be a book all about that from the owner. Yeah, I think.
What would it be called? Yellow suits and exporting?
Yeah, maybe
Yellow exporting?
yellow exporting something. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is you had mentioned last week that 11 of their players that were on their wood bat league had been drafted. So obviously it was a good program, but they've decided that they just want to go bigger with the banana ball. And I watched a little bit of the game. You can watch it on ESPN Plus, and it's fun. It's different if you're not used to it, but it's not something that I would go and watch every night.
And that's probably, I think, what's helping drive this, is that during the summer they have that going on, which they can only do so much banana ball. They still incorporate some parts of it, but they can't do all of it because you've got the rules of the Coastal Plain League.
Right.
But the wait list, as we talked about with Kyle Lewiggs when he was on the show, is they're sold out for the future, and a lot of it is they're limited on how many dates they can play.
Yeah, I think too, one of the things going just to the banana baseball is it also affords them the opportunity to travel. We talked with Kyle about the world tour that they did, or, in quotes, world tour. They went to Florida.
They went to Kansas City.
They went to Kansas City. That's
And
true.
Everything's up to date in Kansas City.
Yeah. So I think it affords them the opportunity to market themselves to even a bigger audience than what they already have. The only thing I would say is they kind of, if I was to give them a review, I'd have to mark them down a notch because Josh Reddick played with them in the outfield for a game or two. And yeah, that I can't do that.
Well, it was like, hey, we got a former major leaguer, he's buying into that. Whatever. All right. Well, let's move on from those things on to important stuff like Players of the Week from the MLB.
Yeah, this week the Dodgers, Mookie Betts, and the Rangers, Nathaniel Lowe, ended the month of August. I mean, just on a tear. We talked about Mookie, but they were both named the Players of the Week. Mookie is stellar, like we said, batting .346, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs across 6 games. He had 7 of his 9 hits last week went for extra bases. His best game came on the Zinians game on Friday in Miami. He had 4 hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. He tied the game in the 9th with a home run, and then gave the Dodgers the lead in the 10th on an RBI double. The next day, comes to the ball field, smacks his 30th home run of the year, and then Sunday says, that's pretty fun. I'll hit another one, and does a leadoff home run on Sunday. He's batting .281 on the year, 31 home runs, 69 RBIs. This is his 4th time earning a Player of the Week, but it's his first time to win in the National League. And he becomes the 3rd Dodger to be named Player of the Week, joining Freddie Freeman and Cody Bellinger. And Nathaniel Lowe, the Rangers first.
Don't call me Nate Lowe.
Yeah. Well, just for that, Nate Lowe. No. Nathaniel Lowe's first baseman for the Rangers, batted .385, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs last week. His biggest game came on Wednesday, where he had a career high 5 RBIs against the Rockies, finished a double shy of the cycle. He also tallied 3 RBIs on Tuesday against Colorado, and he drove in at least 1 run in 5 of the 6 games he played. And he did this in spite of his teammates in the bullpen not knowing that you don't stand in the hitter's eye.
The batter's eye.
The batter's eye. But on the year, he's batting .300 with a career high 22 home runs, 65 RBIs. This is the 4th year that he has been named Player of the Week, and he joins his fellow teammate Corey Seager this year.
Can you blame them? They're in Colorado.
Yeah.
They're in Texas. They play in a grill. You've been to Texas. There's no trees around Texas. They thought they were out in a forest. This is like a nice little park walk. This is like at the minor league stadiums where they're out on the grass in the back.
It's nice if you walk at Coors Field. If you go back there, you can look down and there's trees. There's a stream that goes through there.
There's a stream back there?
Yes. I think Charlie
one of the
Blackmon,
players, now that you mentioned, I think one of them had a fishing pole.
Charlie Blackmon, I think, usually has a fishing pole just out there. And he just keeps it just in case and puts his waders on.
Things get boring during the game. He can just go over there, maybe grab.
Yeah, but he hides behind a
trout
tree
or whatever.
So he's not seen.
He could kind of blend in. He could get that Sasquatch look going.
Yeah, he's pretty much already there. But yeah, so a Dodger and a Ranger Player of the Week.
Nice. All right, so something interesting happened while the Yankees were in Oakland. Now, the Yankees have been having an issue lately. They've not been since Joey Gallo was traded. The Dodgers have taken off. And the Yankees are having a hard time. The Yankees haven't even hit 80 wins yet.
They missed Joey.
And the Dodgers are almost at 90. And so it's kind of thrown everything off. Well, while they were there, the A's took 2 of 4, which was a surprise, just like the Angels sweeping the Blue Jays. But I think the A's splitting a series with the Yankees is bigger news.
Yeah.
But on one of the games, they went into innings. And it was a 3-2 win for the A's in innings. And they threw a 1-hitter. How about in innings, they threw a 1-hitter? Wouldn't you think that if you threw a 1-hitter, you'd win in regulation?
You should, right?
Right. And they only had one, and that 1 hit didn't come in innings. The Yankees scored 2 runs off of throwing errors, a walk, pass ball, and all that. The 1 hit came earlier in the game. And it's the first time, I think, in history ever that the A's have ever thrown, and I think any team had ever thrown a 1-hitter in 10 innings.
Give me an A.
What's that spell? See, they messed it up. I mean, now the A's are tough, but you got to do that, right? So start again.
Give me an A.
Give me an apostrophe.
Give me an S.
What's that spell?
A's.
A's apostrophe S.
And that really happened. That was
well, the A part.
The A part, not the apostrophe.
The rest of it was our dramatic reimagining of that situation. So this season, at the end of it, something, and I feel like this is something we do every single week, mostly with Shohei, but for the first time since 1922, MLB players are going to Korea. I was like, are you sure we haven't been there more recently? Nope. 1922. I had to look at it 3 times. You didn't mean 1992 or 82 or 2002? No, 1922, when Casey Stengel, still a player back then, along with Waite Hoyt, Herb Pinnock, and others traveled to Asia, and they played Japan, South Korea, and China. This is going to happen again. They got a 4-game set up to play versus some players from the KBO. And it's a 4-game series, the 2022 Korea series.
Yeah, celebrating KBO's 40th anniversary. The rosters and the exact schedule for this series will be announced in September. So we will keep you posted on who's going to Korea.
They're going to play 2 games in Busan and then 2 games in Seoul. Right there, right around the middle. So we'll actually, right around the time that you start getting the awards out, so we may be able to share how those games went.
Yeah.
And with that, we've been talking about like international exposure. We talked about them playing in London next year, talking about that. Now, we also have the World Baseball Classic en route. We know that Mike Trout's going to be the captain. So he's going to look at everybody. Look at me. I am the captain now.
I would love to see him do that.
I am the captain now.
Yeah, it's returning in 2023 World Baseball Classic. They will have 2 qualifying events that will take place later this year. And it's expanded to 20 teams for the first time.
So Rob Manfred strikes again.
He does. He always does his fingers. Yeah. So expanding to 20 teams, 16 teams that participated in the 2017 World Baseball Classic have an automatic berth for 2023. Australia, Canada, China, Chinese Taipei, Colombia, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Israel, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, Korea, Mexico, Puerto Rico, United States, and Venezuela. The remaining 4 spots will be decided in the qualifying events. And they'll have 4 pools, and those games will be played in Chinese Taipei, Japan, Tokyo, Japan, Phoenix, Arizona, and Miami, Florida. And then the quarterfinals and then the championships and everything will be in Miami. And as you mentioned, you got Mike Trout, the captain of the team. He'll be joined by Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Tim Anderson, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, who is just the latest to commit to playing in the WBC, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Pete Alonso, Cedric Mullins, and your favorite, Kyle Tucker.
Woo!
And Mark DeRosa, if you watch MLB Network, what is it, in the morning? So he'll be the manager for the team. His coaching staff is bench coach Jerry Manuel, hitting coach Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, sweet.
Pitching coach Andy Pettit, first base coach Lou Collier, our favorite third base coach Dino Ebel, and bullpen coach Dave Righetti.
Yankees legend.
So this will be
Dave Righetti.
Fun team to watch, and these games will be in March, in early March. So,
all right, before we talk about extensions, especially for young players, I have a new name for our all-star name team.
All right.
So far, we've got Skybolt, Lars Newbar, Waskar Brazaban, and I forgot last week that you had added in Vincent Pasquantino.
Right.
This week, courtesy of the Detroit Tigers, we add outfielder Akil Badu.
Ooh. Badu.
Akil Badu to the all-star name team. What do you think?
I like it.
All
I
right.
like
Now,
it a lot.
unfortunately, that's probably going to be one of the best honors he ever gets, just looking at where he's at so far. I mean, things can change. He's a young player. He's only 24. But it seems like these days you've got to be younger than that to get the big money. We've seen in recent seasons Fernando Tatis Jr. and his troubles aside since signing that, the Padres really looked at him, said, this is a guy that we want to keep in our organization long term based on what he was doing on the field. They signed him to a long term big contract. Things haven't worked out very well since then. We mentioned earlier Wander Franco. Since signing that contract, he's been hurt. We don't know if he'll be able to live up to his part of the contract. We know that Juan Soto is going to get a big contract. I mean, who knows? Things might change while he's in San Diego. He's already kind of fallen off a little bit. And now it looks like the Mariners have jumped into this. Jerry DiPoto and the Mariners management have said, Julio Rodriguez, come on down. You're the next contestant on. Let's pay you lots of money. And you know who was like silently saying something about that was King Griffey Jr., who probably said, I was that age. I was already killing it. And I was making league minimum or rookie pay, for a long time. And Julio's been here for how many games?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. They announced that they signed Julio Rodriguez to an extension. The deal, which begins this season, guarantees him $210 million over 12 years. It contains both player and club options that it can extend the length of the contract, push the total value as high as $470 million. He also has a full no trade clause. And it's really a complex contract. Rodriguez will make $120 million through 2029. And then there's a $15 million signing bonus to be paid up front. And then there's lots of little things like if he finishes in MVP balloting over the next 7 years, he will get money. And then $240 million over 8 years with 2 or 3 top 10 finishes, $260 million over 8 years with 4 top 10 finishes, $280 million over 8 years if he wins an MVP and finishes in the top 5 once, or finishes in the top 5 of MVP balloting on 3 occasions, $350 million over 10 years if he wins 2 MVP awards or finishes among the top 5 in balloting on 4 occasions. So with all of this, the contract maxes out at 18 years and $470 million. Now,
wow.
If the Mariners do not exercise their multi-year option after year 7, he'll have a 5-year, $90 million player option that he can exercise. And and it goes on, like if he finishes in the Silver Slugger voting, or he makes an all-star appearance, or he, does these things, juggles eggs, or I don't know, but he, I mean, it's just crazy. The stuff that is in this contract. So, but he will be in Seattle for a while.
It's interesting. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that sometimes all they need to do is get like a 1-year deal for $8 million, and it takes forever to get that done. This sounds complicated and really sets the expectation. We're willing to pay you this big money, but you need to perform.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn this money. And on the other side of extension talk, The Rays announced that they have a contract extension with Tyler Glasnow that will run through the 2024 season. It reportedly pays him $5.4 million in 2023, his final season of arbitration eligibility, and then it jumps up to $25 million in 2024, and his also contains potential bonuses if he finishes in Cy Young balloting over the next 2 seasons. So yeah, it's putting even in this contract, which is not as huge as Julio Rodriguez, it's putting it back on the player to earn the money. Show me the money.
That finally makes sense instead of just giving them something because, hey, you did this. That's something to keep them motivated as well.
Yep.
And then kind of funny, a parody site it's supposed to be the Baltimore Orioles, but as you can tell, there's 2 O's in the middle of Orioles in this one. They tweeted out, "We've signed catcher Adley Rutschman to a 20-year, $600 million contract through the 2042 season."
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, that's great," and they're like, "Look at how the Oriole is spelled."
Exactly. It's funny.
Always somebody.
Always.
Get your hopes up.
Well, the one thing that, on any of these extensions, and like we talked about with, especially with Wander Franco and Fernando Tatis Jr., is that these guys are going to get paid that even when they're on the wheel of fire.
Tony Gonsolin is on the IL with a strained right forearm. He isn't expected to miss beyond the 2 starts during his IL spin. He said that an MRI wasn't required after other tests revealed no structural damage. He said that every ligament came out negative and that he's feeling good other than a little bit of tightness when he throws. So we're hoping that that's it. That'll be it. And we can manage this, or the Dodgers can manage this as they make their run into the postseason, because we are really going to need Tony. And then we also move to Anaheim, where Jared Walsh is on the 60-day IL with thoracic outlet syndrome. And thoracic outlet syndrome is a condition that you usually see more commonly in pitchers. Steven Strasburg is one that comes to mind. So makes it a little bit of an outlier for Walsh to have it as a first baseman, but he does, unfortunately, for the Angels. But it does make sense because he was falling off, couldn't figure out what was going on at the plate. He's on the 60-day IL and will be out for the rest of the season. Boston's James Paxton has a grade 2 left lat strain and is out for the season, will not pitch for the rest of the 2022 season. Patrick Wisdom of the Cubs is on the 10-day IL with a left ring finger sprain. Jan Makata of the White Sox on the south side of town has a left hamstring sprain. And then Mike Moustakas, who I think really enjoys spinning on the wheel because he seems to always be on it, he is on the IL for Cincinnati with the left calf strain. And then Justin Verlander, now he is not on the IL, but he is listed as day-to-day, so he might be in line to hop on the wheel. He left his last start, which was on Sunday, with a calf strain. He threw 3 innings and 60 pitches. Dusty Baker said that was probably the best bad news that he received, because he was really concerned that it might be something with his arm, but it's not. So we'll keep an eye on Justin Verlander. Ryan Presley, also of the Astros, is on the 15-day IL with neck spasms. Sixto Sanchez of the Marlins has inflammation in his right shoulder. He's listed as day-to-day. Rowdy Tellez of the Brewers is also listed as day-to-day with right knee discomfort. Nestor Cortez is on the 15-day IL with a groin injury. not good news for the Yankees. And then Jorge Alfaro of the San Diego Padres, catcher, DH, right knee inflammation. Brandon Belt, again, on the 10-day IL with a knee injury. Guess he got one opinion, didn't like it, and is seeking a second opinion. And then Evan Longoria is listed as day-to-day with hamstring issues. J.P. Crawford of Seattle is listed day-to-day with a pectoral injury, but an MRI revealed no structural damage. And I saved this one for last because it's not an oblique, but this one's just weird. Aroldis Chapman is on the 15-day IL. He got a leg infection from getting a tattoo. Now, everybody really wants to see the tattoo, but we don't know what it is. And scary stuff for him because you get an infection like that and you don't catch it early enough. Yeah, he was in a lot of pain.
For pitchers, I mean, not for all players, the legs are so important in the wind up, whether you're pushing off the leg or when you're landing. And if you've got some discomfort there, that takes you out of it completely.
Yeah, he traveled with the A's to Oakland, but Aaron Boone said, I mean, he couldn't even leave the hotel room. He was, pretty much just in the hotel room, had been running fevers, so he knew something was going on. The
question is, was it really a tattoo?
Well, was it a tattoo? And if it was a tattoo, did he go to the same place where you got your, back in the alley with the rusty needles?
You got to wonder. My other question is don't you have like 3 or 4 months when you don't have anything else to do?
To get a tattoo?
Right.
Apparently it was on, I don't know. The thing is the real thing and what everyone wants to know is, what is the tattoo? And that is what nobody is leaking out. We can't.
See, that makes me wonder if it wasn't just a big ringworm. Yeah, that's kind of odd.
It's just weird.
Yeah, that one.
And that's how the Yankees, when they announced that he was on the 15-day IL, they said he has a leg infection because of a tattoo.
Right, which I mean, those things happen. I don't have any tattoos. I know you're all tatted up. Has that ever happened to you before?
No. Yeah, I just recently finished a sleeve and didn't have any issues.
I know. Yeah, I got the Dodger sleeve.
Yeah.
Which arm is that? The left arm or the right arm? I don't remember.
It's my right arm because I use my right arm a lot and I want everyone to see it. No, I have no idea. I've never even stepped foot in a tattoo parlor.
I've heard, and I've met people that had tattoos that got like maybe a little infection or something. Things like that happen with that kind of a process. It's not, sometimes it's just because you went to the wrong place. Sometimes stuff happens.
Yeah.
So that is the, that's what I always thought, that Planet Head should just get a planet tattooed on his head.
We have a neighbor that is bald, and he has, first time I met him, he turned around and I saw the back of his head. He has eyes tattooed on the back of his head. He's the best guy. Just, but
having a tattoo doesn't necessarily make you a bad person.
Oh no, I don't mean that. It's just when you see him from the front, you're like, okay, because he has tattoos on his arms. It's not a big deal. But then he turns around and you're like, oh, you got tattoos on the back of your head. Yeah. And he's like, I think those are the ones that
always throw me out. I see somebody with them on their arms, and now I think I'm more surprised when I see somebody and they don't have a tattoo.
Yeah.
These days. But I think it throws you off when you see people have tattoos on their head, like on their face, or and you're just kind of, it's a little, it throws you off a little bit because you're just not used to seeing that.
Yeah, because like I said, he has some on his arms. It's like, oh, okay. But then when he turned his head,
he's watching you then too.
that's right.
I know that I didn't want to interrupt during your flow, but with Tony Gonsolin, I know when we talked about it before, when I saw that he was going to the IL, my first concern is always when they say anything that has to do with the arm, what part of the arm? It's like, oh, he's got some bicep issues, or he's got a tricep irritation or something. You're like, well, okay, that's something they can work through. But when they start having forearm issues or elbow issues, shoulder issues, those are the three that when it comes to the arm and that mechanical area as far as pitching goes, it worries me with somebody like Gonsolin, who had issues in the past and has finally figured out where he wanted to be, has been so successful this year. I mean, look at what happened with Walker Buehler. Expected him maybe to come back, and turns out he was worse off than they realized. Is this something that I think you said, well, I think they got to it soon, early enough to, be able to treat whatever the inflammation or that, and maybe stop it from being something more. But how do we know?
Well, we don't know, and they're not going to do an MRI. So
I don't know how that really works. Like, we'll do it, we won't do it. Sometimes it's like, if we don't do it, it was kind of like the idea at the beginning of COVID testing. If you don't get tested, those who have COVID, those numbers will not go up if you don't get tested, because then we won't know you had it.
We don't know.
Are we just closing our eyes, like covering your ears, la, 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 covering our eyes? I can't see anything. So nothing's wrong.
Yeah, in a way, it kind of seems that way. But when you listen to Dave Roberts, he seems, he's a pretty positive guy, but I think he also has been more realistic. With Walker Buehler, he had the elbow spur, and I think, this, so he had surgery for that, and then it turned into obviously another Tommy John surgery. I think if they caught it, where he felt some tightness and then they just took him out, that allows them, so where he's at least going to miss 2 starts, if not more, but at least 2. And that also helps them that way they can monitor him if they have to do a pitch count or innings, whatever it may be, getting closer to the postseason, and do it that way. Clayton Kershaw should be back this week. So that will be huge. And then we just need Dustin May to continue to pitch the way he's been pitching. But yeah, this was not what Dodger fans wanted to hear. And I'm sure not what the Dodgers wanted to hear. But, we're going to look at the positive side.
Well, in one way, I look at it that luckily the Dodgers are in a position that they don't have to worry. They're not like last year. They were in a fight with the Giants all season long.
Right.
And this year they're not having to fight. I mean, last time I looked, the Dregs were about 20 games behind them, and they're the second place team.
Yeah.
So, they're right now, they're not going to lose their spot unless they just completely collapse in the last month.
Yeah.
And even then, they're still in a position where, it's going to take a lot to overtake them.
I think, too, with Tony Gonsolin, we know that this is the most he's ever pitched, most innings he's ever pitched. So maybe with this, it's like, okay, we got to slow this down because we're looking to the postseason, and we need him, so they can slow it down. And with Kershaw coming back in the mix, and even if they needed to, if you needed to have Ryan Pepio come up, he hasn't been bad. But Andrew Haney needs to stay healthy. And then you've got guys coming into the bullpen, Blake Trinan. We forgot Tommy Conley. He's been on rehab assignment. So we'll see where that, if he comes back. Victor Gonzalez has been in Oklahoma City.
Well, and that's what I was kind of getting to with Tony Gonsolin was a lot of extra innings pitched. We saw that kind of last year a little bit with Julio Urias, and he had some downtime, picked it back up again. He's better this season overall. And then with Tony, maybe this time off will get him some good rest. So come playoff time, he's ready for that and can pitch at the level he's been pitching at. Before we bail out on today, one thing that I'm pretty sure that at some point in his life, our uncle had a Mickey Mantle card. And my question to him is, why didn't you forget about it and leave it in some stuff at Grandma and Grandpa's house so that I could find later on and hold on to and then sell for millions of dollars?
I know. We need to get to the bottom of that. Yeah, move over, Honus Wagner. You thought $7.25 million? That's chump change when it comes to Mickey Mantle's card that sold for $12.6 million. In 1952, Mickey Mantle card. It is the most anyone has ever paid for any sports item, card, memorabilia. It's one of the most sought after cards. And the crazy thing is that it's from the collection of a guy named Alan Mr. Mint Rosen. He's from New Jersey, and he got the card in the 1980s when he got a call from a local guy who claimed to have a collection of mint 1952 Topps cards that came from his dad. And he was like, yeah, right. No, you don't. So he went, checked it out. Sure enough, he realized that the caller wasn't lying. He paid $125,000 for 5,500 cards. And this Mickey Mantle card was one of them that was among the haul. And then he immediately, after he sells the mantle for $1,000, he bought it back in 1991, and then he flipped again and sold it for $40,000 to Anthony Giordano. And now Giordano and his sons put the card up for auction and sell it for $12.6 million. They bought it for $40,000 and sell it for $12.6.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, for sure. I was just looking because I was thinking, what card would I spend money on? Obviously, I don't have millions to spend on. I don't even have thousands or for hundreds for that matter. But if there was a card that you wanted to get, like a rookie card of somebody or a player where you got like a specific card that's maybe a little higher value, what player would you go for?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. There's so many different guys. I mean, like a Nolan Ryan or, Willie Mays.
I would go with Willie would be a good one. Nolan Ryan, of course, being my favorite player. He would be one. Steve Garvey would be another one for me because they were Nolan Ryan, Steve Garvey were my two favorites growing up. I mean, I liked everybody. There was always a player somewhere that I liked, but those were the two that I really had. I always wanted to wear number 6 or number 30, and the numbers usually didn't go as high as number 30 because they topped out. You didn't have that many kids on a team,
right?
And then the number 6s were always like some small kid. And I was never a small kid. I was always bigger than everybody else.
Right.
So I was just wondering because I'm looking at, I looked up for Nolan Ryan. His rookie card is actually a card with him and Jerry Koosman, who both came up with the Mets together. And there are, like, depending on the values, I see them ranging from 1.5 million down to about $1,200 So I'm assuming that it means there's a couple of them, like whether it's a Topps card. There was another one called an O-Pee-Chee. So I'm not sure what the deal on that is, but how much would be, for me, cards were never about what the value was. It was about having my favorite player. Right. And the players that you hated. So if I were getting cards now, if I was a kid getting cards now, the cards that I would put in my bicycle spokes would be like Altuve, Bregman,
Reddick,
Tucker. Reddick, I think I wouldn't even put that on my bike.
I would run it over.
I would burn that one. I'd be like,
maybe Correa.
Correa might be in but the bicycle spoke ones were the players that you didn't like.
Trent Grisham.
Yeah. Although he's kind of become like who?
Yeah, you don't really know. Yeah.
Anyway, so oh yes, the wonders of baseball cards and the artificial value therein.
Well, and it was graded. This Mickey Mantle card was graded a 9.5, which is the finest known example of a card. It's like the highest, one of the highest you can get, I guess. So, yeah, it's a whole other world when it comes to baseball cards. Not just popping them in your spokes to hear that sound.
We parked the bullpen cart, charging it up for next week. Tarp being laid out on the field. They're going to take and cut our faces into the SRBB logo into the outfield. Next week's show. Next week we will be talking more about what's happening with the Dodgers. How does the Tony Gonsolin being out, does it have any effect for that 1 or 2 games that he might have pitched? I think a lot of the times it's not going to matter as long as the offense is up and running. And we'll see if there'll be some bullpen games. Can the Angels continue to own the AL East, or at least the Yankees? And what happens when I get to sit up with and hobnob in a suite? We'll talk about all that.
You have to put your pinky up.
My pinky up when if I'm drinking what is that, $30 beer or whatever it is. You gotta throw the pinky out because you're in the suite.
That's right.
And when you eat peanuts there, you cannot throw the shells on the floor.
No.
Anyway, we'll talk about all that and more. Plus, new schedule for next season's out, and we should explore some of that because it's different than ever before. So join us next time. And in the meantime, don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. And we've got another giveaway. It's going to be our Silver Linings giveaway. Check it out on Instagram. That'll be up this week.
Do that. Also, stop by our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out the Fanatics link to get all your favorite gear and more. So we'll see you next week with a new edition of SRBB, the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And don't forget to swing away.